team explaining to the public as the public sees us all come through with our stuff and not be checked. Which it is what it is, but that'll be one thing.
Yeah. I think that's explainable.
Okay, moving on.
All right, next thing is I would like to talk about just a little bit about what we discussed in our safety committee meeting last week. Insurance trustees and IPEP brought to our attention that right now, the way it stands, and granted we still have November, December, knock wood, but we stand at $25,389 for claims. Let me tell you, last year it was $65K, and 3 years ago it was $240K. So we are really doing some great things. According to insurance trustees and IPEP, they really feel that the fact that we're putting more emphasis on safety, creating a safety culture that we hadn't had, and also that we are having our employees, if they have even a missed, situation, fill out that incident report. Let's get it in writing. We've got something that next week then, my knee hurts. I think it's from when I, did whatever it was. Okay, we've got that on record. Now we can send you and do things like that. Our claim numbers are up, but that's because of that. But instead of looking at the claims numbers, looking at the dollars that we're actually spending. And, it's great. $25K, doing pretty well. So anyway, wanted to pass that along to you. And of course, our big departments, the sheriff's department, of course, the risk level goes up, and they are, just doing what they can to keep those claims down. But hey, we want to know if something happened, if they slipped on a ladder doing maintenance there at the jail, or slamming a finger in a door from a prisoner scuffle. We want to know all of those things, even if you're not going for treatment now. Down the road, maybe, and at least it saves a lot of backtracking sort of, paperwork. Really helps IPEP out a lot, because then they're not questioning, what did you do off hours? Is this truly a work comp claim? So there's a lot of accountability there that we're creating. So that's good. Yes.
I used to do workers' comp cases until about a year ago. And from the standpoint of the employee, doing it that way is a big help. So this is really good for the county employees, because if they are not going to be questioned by the insurance like that, so it really protects them as well. This is a great culture for it.
Yes. So we will keep educating our employees about doing that, and educating our department heads, reminding them that if they hear about a situation, somebody slips on the stairs, let's get it in writing, take care of it. So another thing we talked about, we are kind of focusing on fire extinguisher training, and we will have yet at the end of this week, fire extinguisher online training through IPEP that we will ask our department heads to encourage all of our employees to take this. And as I said, it's simply online. However, we are going to offer hands-on extinguisher training at the highway department, probably in December in one of their barns. We have some old extinguishers that are out of use that Larry has told us about, Ben Parker has some, and we have been informed that IPEP down the road is going to have one of those virtual reality ones where you will hold on to something, that will be heavy like an extinguisher, wearing goggles, doing that virtual reality thing, and we'll be able to do it, say, in a department or in a conference room instead of having to do it outside, So that's, really great that we'll be able to do that. So that's on the list, and because of that, and perhaps changing some things within our safety manual. And you have to remember, our safety manual was sent out to employees January of 2016. That was even before I came on board. And so I'm going down some rabbit trails after we take a look at, okay, fire extinguisher training. Then there are some other things. We need to have a fire extinguisher in every county-owned vehicle. And so, and making some changes within our handbook. Also, exits. And what is the plan when a department has to evacuate from a building, be it fire or whatever it might be? Where do they go for that safe location? And so there's just a lot of things that I'm digging up because, those rabbit trails that you go down. So we're working on those. Then let's talk a little bit about the recruiting that we have going on right now. The probation department has a probation officer assistant opening because one of theirs resigned. We have the posting open until the end of November. And prosecutor's office, we have been informed that one of their prosecutors will be retiring the end of this year, which will leave him down 2 attorneys. The sheriff's office had a confinement officer posting out, but that's now closed, and we're hiring one. So when is that starting? Tomorrow, the person will be coming in, okay, for onboarding. The surveyor's office will be offering a position of the field inspector, the junior field inspector, to someone, and we understand that person's first day will be November the 18th. And last but not least, Sunny Meadows is fully staffed, and except for still that bookkeeper opening, and that one, I wouldn't say we're dragging our feet on it, but we had a family emergency with Angela, and so that's putting us a little bit behind because we really need her input in that, and get together with Susan to do some interviews. So that is still on the list of things to do because that's such an important position. And then speaking of department heads, our department head meeting is November the 6th at 8 a.m. in what used to be known as the Red Room. And Jack will be taking over that meeting. Mike Watson has been the chair for this year. And so we're hoping that somebody will step up to the plate and take over the reins of that, since Jack will be retiring in December and Mike will be leaving the Board of Commissioners. And one of the things that I will be discussing at the department heads meeting would be performance evaluations to satisfy council requirements. And I have already sent to you guys an email to keep that forefront, that your non-elected department heads will be needing a performance evaluation so that they too will receive that.
One thing on that, I don't have that list with me, but we have not determined who's going to do.
No, we haven't even talked about it. So that's why I thought I better bring it up because it's now,
Now's the time to do
November,
that.
and we need those in really beginning of December.
Should we just do what we did last year, or do you want to mix it up this year?
I really don't care. I don't remember who I did last year.
I did Ben and Rhonda, and, wasn't that horrible?
How about we get a list and we'll,
Yeah, we'll get a list and.
We'll
We'll
get
get
a
a
list.
list. Yeah.
Thanks for reminding us. We need to put that together.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Good opportunity to talk to departments anyway. And
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yep.
I remember Sunny Meadows. I did Sunny Meadows.
Right.
And that's what-
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, that's what we have on our, okay, that's really good. I did talk fast and it's not even 9 o'clock yet. So what do you guys have for us?
Good, thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Just ask you not to burn down our new highway department when you're doing the training.
There's no fire involved. Well, yeah, there will. Anyway, yes, we will, and we will have the former fire chief of Auburn involved in it. Let me give kudos to Mike Van Zyl. He has come in and talked to us about evacuation plans.
Right.
He came in and talked to us about fire extinguisher training. So he is, it's a passion of his. So he wants to be there. And don't forget, Ben Parker was a volunteer fireman for years and years and years. So well, we will have some expertise with that.
Well, we got a little rain now. We don't have to worry so much about the corn
That's right,
trees
setting
and the tree
things on
leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
Dottie, you had sent us 2 emails about the, fire.
The fire procedures,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Susan. Section 10 of the safety manual, I sent you the chart that we have. I am still waiting to hear from Central Communications on where their meeting location will be. And the Highway Department hasn't gotten back to me, and Soil and Water, where their meeting location would be, should they need to be evacuated. Then another thing that we really need, back in the day, the courthouse contact person was the auditor. Now, we probably need to change something, and I commented that I thought perhaps our security detail would be a logical, but of course, you'd probably need to talk to their supervisor, the sheriff, to make that happen. So, maybe that's another topic to talk to about, our security. Since
That's what I was thinking. I didn't know if this needed to be dovetailed in with the discussion with
that's
the
what-
courts
yeah.
and the security
Agree.
committee. That was one thought I had.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fire, but it does involve security to some extent, too.
It truly does, yes. And to guide people out of the building to make sure that they're all safe. So we did want to bring that up. I mean, the auditor, heaven only knows why, the auditor was even made, that the contact person.
Why not?
Because there are just so many other duties that the auditor does, and
we
it
throw
just
everything
doesn't
at her for
seem any,
See, why not?
yeah. Susan can yell very loudly, but, to get people
Not today.
Not today.
that, but that's probably not appropriate these days since we have security. Anyway, if you guys would look into that, that would be lovely. And Susan, what was my other email that I had sent out?
The exercise room.
Oh, sorry.
The exercise room.
The exercise room, yes. That was something else that was brought up in the safety committee meeting. The sheriff's office representative said that there is a plan to get rid of the equipment out of there, but our cleaning crew has noticed individuals coming in after the development services offices has closed and people working out. So we do have signage all over the equipment and the doors And, but there are a lot of keys that are out and about. Anyway, so I wondered if changing a lock would be helpful. We're not exactly sure how soon that equipment will be out of there. And I understand that there are some plans to, remodel that side of the building. And, still having that equipment in there might just, delay that. So something needs to happen there. Yeah.
Since we're on that real quick, since I believe our gentleman showed up for,
No. Jake, no.
is that door in building services there, is it necessary as far as an exit? It doesn't have a crash bar on it. It's not going to be used anyway, that room. Can we just disable the lock for now until we can get, I'm tired of people using that, knowing they're looking right at our sign and thumbing their nose to it.
Yeah.
You can take a key and break it off in the lock, and that takes care of it, and then you can replace the lock later with, you go from the inside, use a couple screws, but I want to make sure that, because it can't be opened in emergency easily anyway without a crash bar. What can we do to disable that door to keep people from being, I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt in there, and
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I'm for disabling the lock. I mean, we can replace that without too much expense.
well, next question is the lock the same lock that operates the other doors to the building services? Because you got to change all the locks if it is. You see where I'm going with this?
I see. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, not if you
Multiple
put just
doors.
a new, if you just put a new lock
Cylinder.
set on that door.
Right.
You can secure that door
But if
temporarily.
if their key opens the other door, all they got to do is go in that door and turn left down the hall and go right to that room.
Oh, I see. I was talking about just putting a lock on the room.
Well, that has,
Put a new door set with a lock on the room. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a separate door.
well, there's,
There's only one way in.
no, you
The
get it
exercise room?
through the building services, you turn left down the hall, walk right in there.
Right.
There's a door to the hall, isn't there? There's not.
When you walk into development services, there's to the right, you can go into the counter. To the left, then you go into the GIS area, the restrooms down that way, and down that hallway.
Right into there.
So, right in
Isn't there
there.
a door at the hallway going into the exercise room?
No.
I don't
Oh,
think there
that's
is.
the problem. I always
I
thought there
thought
was a
there
door to
was.
So I'd
that.
like to know if the locks are all the same.
They would
If-
have to be.
If not, like I said,
Because the guys can get in after hours.
yeah, they could get, if they say, oh, can't get in this one, I'll just go over here. Now they walk in. I can't believe our employees are intentionally going in there and reading the sign and walking in.
I'm not sure that they are our employees.
I was gonna say some.
That's what I'm
some of
wondering,
the state-
if it's someone that's not our employee, obviously, right?
Right. We have seen other law enforcement vehicles out front,
Well,
right there.
If it's okay with you guys, I'm
So,
gonna take care of
yeah.
it today. I'll put a different lock on it. This is ridiculous.
another-
I mean,
but there's gonna be a lot of people that need those keys.
that what?
That
Yes.
need those keys to get in
I mean, GIS people perhaps, or?
and cleaning.
Yeah.
And
Well,
layering.
can't they go in through the main door?
Main door's gonna be the same.
That you think they're both the same lock?
They have to be because you can get in after hours.
What, you think that left door and the right door are the same key?
I think so.
Okay, well then we need to probably change both locks and get with our people that need a key and get them a key. Because this has gone on long enough.
Since December of last
Last year.
year. Yes.
We were promised that equipment would be removed, it's still in there, people are still using it, it's just not right, so.
So
And if
when
there's
is
a whole lot
it
of
being
keys
removed?
out, that's probably a good idea to rekey it. It's
Can we,
What is it, like, why isn't there a plan and why isn't it moving? Like, who's going to make them move it?
well, I guess what we should do is hire someone to move the equipment out and sell it and just be done with it.
Who owned the equipment?
The sheriff's office.
Most of it, a lot of it was donated.
I'm just saying, if the
Far as
sheriff's
I know.
office owned it, is that something that, I mean, I don't know that
They've already
as
been
commissioners
in-
can sell it if the sheriff's office.
We've asked them
has
to remove it
ownership.
for over a year, though. It'd be like you renting a house and saying, now get your stuff out, and you leave it in there.
Let me get this straight now. We're talking about the main door. When you walk in, the main door to the south, that's the one we're talking about, changing the lock.
Yes.
Those are crash bars. Those are going to be a little more complicated to change.
I'm not sure that one has a crash bar on it.
That would be an exit door though for.
Oh, I agree. That's
GIS.
why I'm saying if it isn't a
Why
crash,
don't we just barricade off into that corridor?
but they can still get in that door.
Yeah, but they can't get in the weight room if we barricade that off.
Yeah, they can. That door walks right into there.
We barricaded off the end of that hallway.
I think that door is after the hallway, Bill. Isn't it?
Can
No.
can you disable the equipment?
No, it's free weights, dumbbells. There is some equipment you could disable, but a lot of free weights.
You like lock them all together.
Do you want me to contact the sheriff perhaps and just say we're getting to a critical point that this needs to be gone? or
I think
else-
so.
Or else the commissioners are wanting to just sell it?
Yeah, we'll just sell it.
Okay.
This is gone.
I mean, I want to be nice, but come on, guys, we gotta take care of this. Isn't right having a.
And the
we're
sheriff
having-
may not matter. He may say it's okay to sell it, but
Well,
we need to contact him first.
And I got a real problem with people that aren't employees with a key. If they have a key to that, they have a key to GIS, they have a key to building, they could go in there and get any record they want, burn the place down, whatever they want to do. I just, this is a real problem.
That means changing the lock would be the solution.
I think we need to do it and get with, how can we find out who needs access to that building? Obviously Chris, employees, cleaning, Larry.
I don't know, I don't know if the key would go to plan commission, like when you go in those doors, and GIS might have a different lock on their door, I'm not sure about that. But the outside and that initial one inside would need to be the same, because that's how they get
Okay.
in.
All right. Bill, why don't we visit the building after this meeting and come up with a plan?
Real quick.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
let's do that.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you for reminding me.
thank you, Dottie. Okay. Moving on. Payroll. Got a motion to approve payroll.
Yeah, so moved.
I have a motion, I will second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Payroll is approved. Claims. Through the claims.
I'll make that motion to approve claims.
I will second that motion. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Claims are approved. And then the minutes.
And I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I will second that motion. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Minutes are approved. Miscellaneous topics. It looks like the first topic, the 2024 R10 resolution on courthouse employee entry is taken care of.
So we did have that resolution voted on, but it's sort of not being, it's just held up and not being enforced until further
Right.
discussions are made.
We haven't voted on the amendment.
Yeah.
But they
Right,
wanted you
yeah.
to create an amendment, but we
Right.
haven't voted
Voted on
on
it yet? Okay.
the actual amendment.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify that,
Yeah.
so that's good.
We'll just
Okay.
hold off on that.
I think table that until we can speak
That
to the
makes a lot of
judges, the
sense,
sheriff,
yeah.
the safety committee. Get everyone on board so they're happy.
Yeah, that's why I said we need to get to the, here's the miscellaneous.
Okay, moving on. Waterloo Library Grant, Library Board appointment.
No, it's Waterloo Grant Library, not a
Yeah.
grant. So
Yeah,
they are
right.
going to have an opening. And the director has submitted a letter of who she would recommend appointing for that term. And it would start on January 1st of 2025 for 4 years. And she is recommending Mike Klink.
From Auburn, right? It's the same Mike Kling from Auburn that, I believe his daughter, Mike Klink's daughter, is also pretty involved in type of work similar. Mike's been a community member for a long time, run a business. I'd have no problem with that.
Motion, appoint Mike Klink.
I'd make a motion to appoint Mike Klink from Auburn to the board, the Waterloo Grant Library Board.
I will second that motion. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Okay, the Lair Grant, extension change order number 2. That's to extend the completion date of the Cedar Creek project.
What was the reasoning? They couldn't get the trees planted in time? Did I read that correctly?
That was the reason.
Yeah, because Acres is needing,
I didn't read it.
Acres Land Trust is now requiring an MOU with the city of Auburn
Right.
for the tree mitigation. So the MOU, the city is working on it, but it's not going to be complete in time.
They won't be able to plant in time, which means spring.
Yeah.
I don't know if the dry weather has anything to do with that. I would assume so.
Might have, but they need the MOU in order to proceed.
But they just found out about the MOU from
That's
what
what
I
I'm saying,
understand.
yeah. They didn't realize they needed that, right?
Yeah.
Guess we can approve the extension. I'd make a motion to approve the extension of the, or the change order,
Change order.
so they can get their MOU.
Okay, and I will second that motion. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Okay. Next is the landfill property. Andrew, you want to address that? I think you had some recommendations that we do not sell. Still thinking about the possibility of an easement on the north end, maybe 15 foot.
So I think that my recommendation just was that it's always better not to mess with your landfill when you have a closed landfill. You don't want it to be put on the radar of any state agency or otherwise. Right now, it seems like it's sort of a quiescent situation, nothing's going on there. There was an idea put forward about maybe leasing off a north portion, like a north 15 foot or something of it. I don't know where the landfill ended and the outskirts of it are. I mean, the further away you are from the actual dugout landfill area, probably the safer you are to have some sort of a easement across from it. But it's always a little risky, and as lawyers, we try to avoid risk as much as possible. So it's always the least risky thing to do is to not mess with your landfill at all or lease it out. I had talked with Menno Schmucker's attorney about the railroad easement across the landfill. And on one of the documents that I had seen, and it might have been from, can't remember if it's from Susan or from some of Jim McKenna's material, indicated that the county had said, we don't know of any landfill waste that was actually put under the railroad strip, but that's a kind of a weak affirmation there. Just, we don't know of any under there. When I drove by, and I think I talked to maybe one of you about it, there's no mound up like on certain railroad tracks, so you can't really see where the railroad track is. So how accurate would the digging have been when they used that as a landfill? I don't know. And when I talked to Menno Schmucker's attorney about it, he kind of agreed with me. The idea is he wouldn't want his client to have any ownership of any landfill, even easement over it, because and definitely not buying anything, because once you have ownership of a landfill or any part of it, then you also are in the chain of responsibility if something's found later and it becomes a brownfield. So, and then I guess the other thought too is, if you're going to have the idea of leasing out county land to different individual citizens, once you start, where do you stop?
Good point. The other problem I had too, Bill, after thinking about it, I thought it was a decent idea to start. He's gonna be carrying a gun. I'm sure he knows how to use it, but he can trip, fall, shoot himself, shoot the neighbor. If it happens on our property, we're gonna be named in the lawsuit. And I think that's a bad idea, you know? And I don't think the Amish community would ever sue us, but if they're negligent, that doesn't keep someone that if they have negligence while they're on our property, we could be, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but we'd likely be sued if it happened on our property. Whether
If it
it's
happened on your
not.
property, the owner of the property can, yeah, the lawyers are, you're supposed to, in a sense, put everybody in the suit up at once. You can't start a case very easily and then certain time periods pass and you can't add people later, so you gotta add everybody up front.
Yeah,
And that
so-
includes the owner of the real estate. And, to put maybe a fine point on the religious aspect, I think there are some Amish that would have the attorney sign the complaint.
Yeah.
And then they're not suing,
Right.
the attorney signed the complaint, because attorneys are allowed to sign complaints without the client's signature.
Right.
So,
I just
Yeah.
think there's too much chance for very little gain. We're risking a lot for almost no gain. The risk versus reward, I don't think is good enough. What do you think, Bill?
Well, yeah, I'm willing to go along with that. You know, I'd like to oblige him, but there again, the liability thing, I think the only option would be that north end. There's no way we can go across that railroad right away. We know when that operator filled that landfill, he did not separate that out. I'm just pretty sure there's no separation of,
and I don't know of any attorney that would recommend doing an easement across a landfill.
Right.
That's closed.
I think
yeah.
his next option, and I'm going to suggest it to him, is to go to the landowner to the north
Okay.
and see if he can buy a strip off of him.
Yeah, that'd be the best.
Just right across the fence. It'd be, go back and jog right back into that woods. So that's going to be my next suggestion for him.
Andrew, do you know, are landfills generally owned by counties, or was that a thing in the past? Do people like Waste Management now buy property for the specific use, or has it changed? Do we own any more landfills in DeKalb County? No. We
But
don't?
we don't own it, we don't have any open landfills, I don't think.
We don't
There
have a
might be
transfer station here or
Yeah.
anything? Okay.
I think that, well, I mean, and I don't know if they would include anything that, like what is going on at Waterloo with the recycling there, or even here, whatever, whoever does the metals recycling down here, if that's called a transfer station or what, but
Transfer's usually trash, like Kendallville Metal and Iron has a actual garbage transfer station.
DeKalb County hasn't had an open landfill for a while. I would say the county's had landfills. I know the solid waste district used to have up on its wall, the Northeast Indiana Solid Waste Management District, a picture of a closed Apollo landfill up in Steuben County, I think it was called. And they had monitoring wells and sites on it and stuff. And that one sounded like that was maybe a closed one that was not owned by the county.
Okay.
And so what happens is the companies that own it can just be bankrupted out, and then you've got just a piece of land. and-
Brownfield.
Yeah, brownfield, and you have to get grants to clean it up because it's hurting theoretically hazardous waste or liquids or whatever can get into your water supply, your streams, your ditches. And so who's there to pay for the closing of it?
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Just curious,
It's hard to open up a new landfill because of all the requirements now for public safety.
I would think.
LaGrange County has a closed landfill near their, I think Humane Society, but there's a closed landfill. It is capped off, it's closed and hopefully,
Yeah.
safe. So I think they're starting to close down and just go to these massive ones like in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All goes to Fort Wayne, doesn't it? Ours all goes to Fort Wayne?
I think so, yeah.
I believe so. Okay.
Yes. The solid waste recycling, the district recycling goes to Elkhart.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I see Becky is here. Becky, you want to step up and We'll get going with your,
By the way, I never received a call from Jake Rowdy either, so.
you said he tried to call you and couldn't get a hold of you.
Phone log here showing every call I've received and voicemails.
Huh. Okay,
I checked out in our office as well, and nobody has heard from him.
nobody.
Yeah, so I was just looking at my voicemails, to make sure I didn't miss one, but
Yeah, yeah,
maybe something happened to him, I don't know.
yeah. Uh-oh.
How are you this morning? Doing well, thank you. It is, so every day we're vertical's good. That's right.
All right, so what I needed to do is our problem statements and our goals. Comprehensive plan. Our plans for this year. There, it's on. Sorry. All right. So when we're looking at the dollars, what we allocated for each category is $12,500 for a total expenditure for the granting of $37,500. In the justice area, each of these are ones that we have funded in the past. So for DeKalb County Community Corrections, their request was for $2,985 for drug testing. And the recommendation from both the committee and the coalition is to fund that amount in full. There was a $1,500 request from the Change Academy, also for drug testing, which we have funded. We kind of have some leniency with Change Academy because they do serve justice impaired youth, but they also serve kiddos that, maybe they've gotten sent over there because of vaping, different things at the school. So we were able to move that one into prevention because we fund other types of random drug testing at the schools through a prevention initiative. So we moved that to prevention. Our undercover drug buys, the request is $5,000, which is the maximum request we will allow on this grant. With our dollars, we were able to recommend $4,757 for family drug court. The request was $2,500 and determined $2,258. And addiction treatment court, $2,500, and we approved $2,500 as well. A little bit of difference there is addiction treatment court doesn't have as many resources to pull for some of that as what family court does, so that's why we didn't just bounce it. Any questions on the justice category?
Todd, any questions?
No, none here.
So do you just we'll get all the way done to do a recommendation for funding from you guys, or do you want to do it by category?
One to it?
Do you want to go through each of the categories, or do you want to do
Yes.
individual categories separately?
Each one.
Do you want to vote on the categories separate or all together?
We can vote on all of it at once.
To just cover all, we'll do one motion at the end.
All right, so under prevention, we put the DeKalb County Change Academy, the $1,500, as I previously discussed. McMillan is one we have funded in the past, and they requested $4,410 for several prevention programs that they do with us in conjunction with the schools, and the recommendation was to fund $4,000 of that. Children's First Center is brand new to the table. They have started attending coalition meetings only very recently. They have presented a project which is a Celebrating Families program. They originally applied for under treatment, but it's really a prevention program. As a brand new program, we don't know how it's going to roll yet. So we wanted to give them some funding, but we weren't willing to give $5,000. So what we opted for was to give them $3,000 and let's see how they work and how this program rolls. And maybe it's something that we can support more fully in future. The Waterloo Library Program, this one everybody was excited about. Waterloo is a small little community and doesn't get a whole lot of services. And their library is partnering with the elementary school. The school is 100% on board. The principal is 100% on board. And they are going to bring the kiddos to the library to do some prevention programming, as well as the library staff will be able to go to the schools for some joint programming, which is an amazing partnership. Such a great thing for that small community. Waterloo Libraries has also gone through some training, so they have Narcan at the library. They have a Narcan box there. They are really stepping up there, trying to make sure they're there for their community. So with that in mind, the recommendation was to fund the full $4,000 that they had requested. And that gets our total prevention dollars to $12,500. Any question on those ones?
No?
Does Auburn Library have a similar program?
No.
No? They've never contacted you, or have you reached out to them?
I have not.
I was just curious, one's doing it, you know, and if it's
This
successful.
is brand new. I mean, the partnerships with the libraries really different depending on how connected they are in those communities. And when you look at Little Waterloo, they don't have a lot of resources.
Right.
So having those partnerships with those libraries is so essential to reach these families that I'm thrilled with this. This is a huge step for a small community. And that the school is completely on board. That's it's impressive. And it's not, to serve this many, they're serving all their kids at school for $4,000.
Right.
That's a minimal investment.
Sure.
Other questions about the prevention category?
No.
No.
Okay, so treatment. Lots of discussion at the treatment category. So when we look through these, you're going to see some variances in how they're funded, and we'll talk through why some of that. So Hart House requested $5,000 for drug testing, recovery materials, treatment assessment. That's the things that they do when they come into the house to determine how they're going to hook them up to the right services. That's fully within treatment. And the drug testing is obviously the ongoing stuff that they're doing. Hart House has been a partner that has been very active and definitely serves DeKalb folks that originate in DeKalb. They partner a lot with our drug courts so that when there are ladies that need, because Hart House is a female, ladies that need to be able to move into a recovery home, they're at the table all the time trying to help make sure that they make those connections with those folks. So the recommendation was to fund the $5,000 that they had requested. Serenity House, much the same story. They did not ask for the full $5,000. They asked for $4,400. Again, a partnership that is very, very active on drug court, addiction courts, family courts, all those things, where these people are constantly those services are being utilized to help those in our community move forward. That's huge. So the recommendation was that they fund $4,400 for that. Inspiration Ministries asked for $1,000 to go towards drug testing and $4,000 for their initial assessment stuff. When we went through the discussions, and these were hard discussions, first off, their application was late. Not late, but late by a few hours. So there was that discussion whether they would even review that application because it was a late application. The discussion was that they would review it because we hadn't necessarily held everybody accountable to every rule about how many times you attended coalition meetings throughout the year, that they didn't feel like that they could hold one rule and not all the rest of the rules, which will be addressed going into the next year. The other concern that came up when they were talking about the inspiration application is there is a disconnect, or appears to be, and I don't sit on the drug court team, so I'm getting this secondhand, between the drug court teams and housing and inspiration. There doesn't seem to be a good connection there between those folks that are working through the court systems and housing there. The third thing that came up was a lot of discussion about individuals being brought in that didn't originate in DeKalb County, but being counted as serving as a DeKalb resident. So if they come in from another state, but now they have a DeKalb address, Inspiration Ministries considers them a DeKalb resident because technically they are, but they didn't originate here. So there was a lot of discussion about whether we were really serving those in our county that originate here, serving our families here. with that fund. On the flip of that, everybody has seen some really good work come out of Inspiration Ministry and some people that have done amazing. So they were trying to balance all of that. And the other aspect of it, they're not always at the table at the coalition meetings. So they were trying to balance that. They don't want to say no to Inspiration Ministries, but they didn't feel like they could fund them as fully as they were others. So the recommendation was to fund that at $1,000 of their request. Questions on that? Because I know that it looks disproportionate when you look at those numbers.
I think your reasoning's valid. I would encourage you to work with them, though, to try to, Andy's got a ton on his plate, probably more than he can handle. And I see such great things coming out of there in our in my BSF class. One of our members is passionate about that. They work with these folks and they give them faith, and they are really changing lives. And I get why you did the right thing probably, but boy, if you could work with them and just help them, hey, you need this on time and you need a better plan, I'd love to see that.
Yes.
So,
And honestly, if Andy hadn't told me in his email, apologize for being a couple hours late, I probably wouldn't have noticed the time.
right.
I probably wouldn't have noticed, but
Yeah.
I can't just ignore those things either.
No, it's-
I mean, I have to bring those. It's not my decision to make. It's the coalition's decision
Yeah,
to
you
make.
did the right thing. That's good.
And like I said, I think that they will be more at the table, understanding why they didn't get more money.
Sure.
Monarch Foundation works with the courts. Their request was for $5,000. The determination was to fund them at $2,100, noting that we were also funding the courts under justice. So you've got some cross-funding as well. Plus, by funding the houses that were used a lot, they were also getting some of that piece. So that's a gap area, and it's also a gap area where they have some more leniency in how they can use those funds to help. So that's kind of where we went with those dollars, with a total recommendation for that category of $12,500. Other questions, thoughts?
Do we know the ratio of DeKalb residents versus non-resident at Inspiration Ministries?
I know what they put in his report, but they're counting, if you bring somebody from Florida and now they live here and they have a DeKalb address now at Inspiration Ministries, my understanding, they then count them as a DeKalb resident. Not somebody that originated in DeKalb and had some issues in DeKalb and is now living there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like his numbers and his, what did he put in here? He said that well, and this sentence does not make sense, but I'll read the sentence because it's not an accurate sentence. It says, we currently operate 16 recovery homes with 150 beds for adults struggling with substance abuse in DeKalb County. They do not have 16 recovery homes in DeKalb County. They have 16 recovery homes overall.
Overall.
So when you look at, so it's trying to figure out exactly how many, and then they're saying that 60% of their individuals will be from DeKalb County.
60%.
60% is what they're saying. So
But how they count them is
how
the
they
question.
count them is where we're not sure at. And if Andy can get to me a better idea of how they're counting and really show us next year when he applies, how many people that originated here are you serving in DeKalb County, that will affect how they're looking at it. You know, I know like Serenity House serves people in other counties too. And so when they are serving somebody that is from Noble County and accessing Noble County funds, but they live in the DeKalb County house, they have to show how that is connected to Noble County in order to use those funds. Does that make sense? Because each of these, the dollars that come in through drug-free community are specific to those counties. So it's not something that I can just arbitrarily go, well, we're going to go ahead and serve all those people in Steuben County because they need it. If with DeKalb money, like, you can't cross over and serve DeKalb County with other county dollars.
And I assume Steuben has the same opportunity through the ICJA to
Yes.
request these funds.
Well, these funds are not through ICJI. These are your local dollars.
Right, but it's the ICJI grant request, correct? I mean, this, are we talking about,
It's not really a grant request through ICJI.
Okay.
We have to follow, they are the overseer for those funds.
yes, they're the overseer for it,
Every county has those funds.
right?
They just get to be that top tier that says, yes, you've done everything that you need to do by state statute to be
Okay.
able to put those funds out there in
I
your
gotcha.
county. But those are funds that are collected in your county only.
Right, right,
Which is why it has to be serving those people in your county.
gotcha, okay.
I would like to say one thing. When it comes to veteran services, we welcome anybody from any county, and we have a lot of out-of-county folks that come in because they get better service in DeKalb County. So we're looking at how is this different?
I don't know how veteran services all work. I don't know. But I'm just talking, this is how they have told us over the years of doing these funding and how we have moved forward with. I'm not saying, I think Inspiration Ministry has some really good success stories. I want to see them stepping back up as far as being at the coalition table and sharing their stories so that when they come up next year for an application, they're not looked at as, well, you've been to the table 3 times in a year. We never know who's going to be there for you. We don't really know. And I would love to see some better partnerships with the courts, but that's out of my hand. That's not something I can resolve. I think it's just a difference in how each program works fundamentally and whether or not they can work well.
Susan, what's this funded from?
It is funded through, so when there are drug and alcohol offenses in the courts, there are mandatory fees that go with those. Those fees are paid by the defendants. That money goes into the Drug-Free Communities Fund. Of that money, a percentage goes to the state, we don't get. The balance stays in county. And of those dollars, we can use 25% for administrative fees, 25% for justice, 25% for treatment, and 25% for prevention. Typically, I think this past year, I don't have my exact numbers, and 30-some thousand is what we actually collected, under $40,000, okay, to spend out. But because there were some years in there where drug-free DeKalb was not able to spend out their dollars, there's some excess sitting there that we have talked about over the last couple of years, how we're going to put those forward strategically so that you're not 1 year giving out $90,000 and the next year you got no money. So that's why we have a little bit of extra that we're spending down. We're spending down everything that was collected in for the year and a little bit out of that pool that's sitting there to spend down.
You know, yeah, that makes sense. So the fees are paid by the offender, so therefore it should stay in this county. The offense was in this county. With that said, good chance these people at Inspiration will stay here, probably get a job here. I mean, we want them to be clean. So again, I see why you did it, and it makes sense, but I would really like to see that relationship get stronger if possible, and maybe Andy can tell you the exact percentages and how he determined them, because, okay, someone moves to Florida, but if they're here 2 years, it really didn't matter if they originated from Florida, they're in DeKalb County. I mean, so, and like Bill said, with veteran services, we have such a top-notch veteran service that we're getting them from all over the counties. Doing a
That's
wonderful
awesome.
job, so.
That's awesome.
And we're happy to spend that money because these people need help. They're still people, and they're in the state of Indiana, so.
And like I said, I think there's an argument on both sides of it. I think Inspiration does some good work, and
Yeah.
I've met with Andy a number of times and other people. I mean, Courtney and Lissa and all the people that have
Yeah.
worked with Inspiration Ministry. There's some good people
Sure.
out there.
Sure.
I want to see them be successful.
You're sitting on a decent balance of cash then, you're telling us?
We're okay.
Okay.
The way we have budgeted this for our long-term planning, we allow $50,000 a year. So that allows 25, 1250 each year to go. And we'll have enough for a couple more years. And then we're going to have to figure out, okay, how are you going to do more? Because you're not a 501c3. And there's discussions about, at a state level, is there a way to allocate some of the alcohol taxes to the local LCCs? Because One of the things that's happened over the years, when they changed the codes of how felonies are addressed at the court level, how they're assessed, then that has reduced throughout the state the amount of money coming into the drug-free communities funds, because if they're assessed at different levels, they don't necessarily hit those fees.
Gotcha.
But I don't have a solution at state for any of that either.
That's all right.
I have some suggestions, but,
Yeah.
you know, I can suggest that the alcohol tax that hasn't been raised in 44 years be raised. That's a whole different argument. What else can I do for you folks today?
That's probably it. We
Need a motion to,
approve all of it?
yep,
I appreciate the good explanation, case by case, given your points. That really is helpful.
good.
I'd make a motion to approve as presented.
Yeah, I will second that. And just to keep us moving ahead, and I do think we need to get with Andy and get this a little more clear, a little ironed out
Yep.
for next year.
Yeah.
We have a motion and second on the floor. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Hey, real quick, what's considered excessive drinking?
It is, you're going to ask me for the exact definition, and I can't think of the exact definition, but it's more than X number of drinks a week. Yeah. But I would have to look up.
Is that a national standard, state standard? Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. I got a courthouse, we got courthouse benches on there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to that, the courthouse benches. And I don't know if you got the email or not, I'm going to suggest that we buy all the benches. And there are, if we had 2 more on the south side, that would make a total of 10. But the county buys them, we install them, and assemble them, install them, and then the folks that want to have a memorial plaque on that bench, pay the cost of the bench and the plaque, and maintenance will then put the plaque on. Can we work that through the system and do it that way, Susan?
Yeah, so I would probably suggest maybe, let me think about this. If the donations come in, we already have a donation fund for benches. So if we have any donations that have come when the bill comes, then I would use what was in the donation fund first, and then we would have to pay for them out of another fund, and then reimburse that fund. I would probably suggest running it probably from your lighted fund until the money comes in. Because I don't think, right now, we can't do that out of our cumulative capital development fund. That's too low, and we've gotten quite a few vehicles and things this year.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is doable.
Okay.
These benches were how much each? They were around 600?
Around, right at 600. Yeah, so we're talking 6,000
So 6, and we'd have to pour 2 pads over there, right?
on the south
On
side.
the
Yeah.
south side.
Unless we put them up on the walk. There's a couple places we could put them up closer to the courthouse, but I don't know.
I'd like more uniform in the grass, I
I think
think.
that's- Yeah,
And
we need 2 more pads.
your idea was to cut off the posts,
Mm-hmm.
currently patch that area with concrete patch,
Right.
and then we'd want to bolt these obviously to the.
Yeah, yeah, both.
Okay,
And they have a bracket to do that.
yeah, I see that. I think it's a great idea. The powder-coated aluminum will last virtually forever. What we have, I looked at the benches, they're in pretty poor shape out there. So I think this is a 50-year bench probably, you know.
They're also rated at 1,100 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
decent.
it would take three pretty good-sized people
Yeah.
to overload them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then someone wants to plaque one, if they want to make a memorial or whatever they want, put that on there, and that money can go into the fund.
Right.
And this way it gets it done, we can get them all done at once and have a nice uniform look. Yeah, I'd make a motion that we purchase these 6 aluminum park bench.
10.
Or 10. 10, I said 6 at first, didn't I? I was thinking 6,000. And I think, what was it? It was $580-some
So,
each, wasn't
right.
it? Yeah.
This one.
And I guess it's model 436978BK.
Yes.
I would make a motion that we purchase 10 of these.
I will second that motion. Comments?
Upfronted from lighted funds.
From a lighted funds.
And I second. Again.
Does
Comments?
that include the cement pad as well underneath?
I'm sorry.
Does your motion include the cement pad underneath?
We would have to install them later.
Okay.
So I assume we'll take bids for the cement pads.
Gotcha.
We'll have to take bids for the 2 cement pads. The others are, current pads we have are okay for now. They just need a little patching, which
Yeah.
literally is a 30-minute job. So
Right.
Larry will be able to handle that.
Carry a motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. We'll get new benches, spruce the place up.
I think it's a nice deal.
New benches, new trees.
Okay, so then somebody's gonna talk to the initial lady that, Ann Nichols.
Yes,
Are you going to talk to her?
I did talk to her. She likes them.
Okay,
Yeah, she's real happy with it.
Okay.
And the whole idea, she was very enthusiastic, actually, the email I got, so, yeah.
okay. And then do you have, like a quote or something?
I'll get one.
Okay,
I'll get one. I'll get in touch with them,
okay,
and I will take care of that.
thank you.
Okay, we got 10 minutes to break. That's all I've got. Anything else, anyone on miscellaneous?
I had emailed you guys the start little checklist thing that we did last year. And there's 3 things that you guys need to do. You need to visit on site to them, check for cleanliness of the vehicle, and do a ride-along with a vehicle. So one of you need to do that and let me know the date you did it, completed,
I'll
whatnot.
get hold of Janice. And
She's no
Oh,
longer
she's not there
there.
anymore? Oh, okay.
I know, Tracy will be here, though. She's coming
Okay.
for an appointment, but
I'll work with Tracy. I'll handle
Yeah,
that.
Tracy will be
we
here.
need to do those before the end of the year.
Okay, I'll work with Tracy.
Okay.
When did Janice go, do you know? Been a while? Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right.
And then I didn't know, and this is probably a question for Andrew, if there's anything that we need to formally do in the meeting for the 2 burn bans that the commissioners put in place with emergency management.
Right. Well, that is something that probably, well, when does the latest burn ban end?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
It
just 7
automatically
days.
stops
Okay.
after 7 days.
Do we have an ordinance on the burn bans? I think,
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know. You don't think so?
I don't know.
Okay.
I believe it's, the state authorizes us to do it, but we
Through
have to get
Jason?
with, we get with Homeland
Security
Security.
to get that
And then
determined.
he
yeah.
puts it on there, he electronically files it, I believe, with the state.
Yes.
We can actually initiate the burn ban.
Right.
He has 48 hours to give
get
the
it
state
uploaded to the
notice.
state.
And he came to my house and actually had me sign it. He's doing such a great job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really appreciate his efforts.
I would say it's okay at this point.
Okay.
That's the way I understand it anyway, Andrew. He says it automatically expires after 7 days.
And we probably will not do a third one because looks like we're going to get some rain now.
Rained.
So, yeah. that'll
Frost in
probably
the morning and dew.
Yeah.
It's helped a little.
Cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
When Jody and I went to a conference 2 weeks ago, we were Marion.
Yeah.
In Marion, and there were a couple fields on fire
Yeah. Remember you
when we were going through.
said that in your email. I have one more thing before break. Chris Cerniak's going to get with Susan to get our other bills squared away, make sure that we're fully through him and not having separate accounts through NIPSCO. And then also he thinks now is the time to lock in. The prices have dropped again. What percentage do you want to go storage? We're talking, I think, around the $2.30 range. Historically, that's a really good, that's the wholesale price, of course, but historically, that's a really good rate. It's, I think, only been under $2 for a very short time in the last 30-year history. It's hit as high as, well, that one weekend, it hit $255 over the weekend, which crucified us that weekend, but I'm not afraid, Bill, to go personally 60 to 70%. I know that seems high, but the energy usage is going to go nothing but up from here on out. These data centers and this AI, electric cars, and I don't care what they say, solar isn't going to power all of it. It's going to be natural gas, and nuclear is going to take a long time to get going. I see natural gas rates going nothing but up once we really start using electricity like they're talking about. So I'd like to lock in as much.
I'm thinking 60,
I'll do 60.
yeah, 60%.
Okay. So let's do, I will make a motion that we go into storage for 60% of our anticipated gas usage through Strain Energy.
I will second that motion. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Susan, would you do me a favor when he calls to add those? Would you tell him about the 60%, please? He'll know what you're talking
What
about.
did you call that? What kind of storage?
We pre-purchase 60% of our anticipated gas at the hedged amount.
Okay.
If the price of gas goes down, we get hung a little bit, but
Not much.
it's not much. And
And that's what, a year
yes,
for the next year?
like I said, anticipation of electric uses, I guess, just data centers. Bitcoin for a while was a big one, it still is, but they're saying with this new AI, the data centers are putting in, it's an incredible amount of power. And then electric cars as they get more,
And we don't have to bid this out or anything.
no, no.
Okay.
What happened, I don't know if you know, Andrew, years ago, over President's Day, there was an ice storm down in Texas that pretty much shut down all their renewable energy, their windmills, and it also shut them down from being able to move gas and
Okay.
when it did, futures, we were unhedged. We were on an open futures contract. We were just paying whatever the futures were.
Right.
Futures that weekend went from $3 to $255.
Huge
We
jump.
spent $50,000 in one weekend for our natural gas in our buildings. So that's when we said, well, we can't have that. So
Yeah,
Anyway.
you gotta hedge it, yeah.
you got to hedge it. We were unhedged. So anyway, and we voted on that, right?
Yes, we did. Approved 60%.
60%. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Then
let's
we can
take,
talk about other things after the break, I suppose.
let's
right?
take a break and do the pledge.
I think it's your turn this time, Bill.
I think it is too.
Got a lot done there. We were opening bids at 10:15, correct?
And I'm looking at the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. They say heavy alcohol use
Morning, how are you guys today?
Oh, we're just buzzing along here.
That's great.
Yes.
Weather's been fit a
Yep.
little bit, cooled off, but a little rain and it's not cold. I'm enjoying that. So it is just after 10:15, so we had some bids to open today. So with that, I've got bids for Bridge 17 I will start with, and then we also have our equipment bodies bids
Okay.
that was due today. So I'm going to start off our bid opening for Bridge 17, this rehab deck replacement for Bridge 17 on County Road 79 over the St. Joe River. The first bid I have is from RG Zachrich Construction.
This is Bridge 17?
Bridge 17, yes. I have a bid total, $856,589.18.
Total bridge replacement then?
No, this is a deck replacement and rehab guardrail and,
Say it sounded too cheap for a
yeah,
total.
no, it's
so-
not.
Okay.
No.
All right, that's a big bridge.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You don't want to know that total replacement.
Yeah, I was expecting a 2 million.
No,
just a-
actually, that is a very nice structurally bridge.
Okay.
It's just the deck's getting a lot of holes in it, a lot of wear. I have another bid here from Milestone Contractors. I have a total bid amount of $1,050,503.34. Milestone, yes. That, they moved up this way from Indy. They bought out Primco.
Oh, Primco, okay.
I have another bid here from RL McCoy. I have a total price of $1,091,342.48. I have another bid here from Pioneer Associates.
Any chance?
Albion.
Yeah, okay.
In here. Here we go. Got a total bid number $970,392.10.
Okay.
I have the engineer's number on my phone here. at an engineer's price of $1,159,831.
Okay.
So there's a couple addendums that went out. The one was minor. The second one we did last week, we extended the completion timeout from March to August 31st. The reasoning behind that was to give the contractors a little bit more flexibility with pouring the deck. The concrete that was going to go on that bridge is a lightweight concrete. And in them requirements, we required the stone to be wet for 3 days, and with pouring that deck in the winter, there was some concern. If it got really brutal cold, that's a huge deck to tarp and protect, and we was concerned that if the weather did not cooperate, the concrete went down, the potential issues that could cause with the freezing and temperatures, and then I didn't want to have an issue where we had a bad product or something failed. I didn't want to get in we want to call it like a finger pointing contest from the contractor or the concrete company of what failed where. So I spoke to USI about it, and we felt it was probably better, safer to move that out, like completion date, in order to give the contractors a little bit more flexibility with getting that part of the project done. So the bids are,
These bids are in consideration of that.
what's that?
These bids are in consideration of
The
that.
addendum went out, so all the bidders received that,
They
yes.
were all bid according to the addendum, though?
Yes, the
Okay.
addendum went out last week, so all the bid holders was notified of that, so they could have altered their bid accordingly, yes.
Okay.
I would like to review these bids
Yeah.
and bring back a recommendation to you. They all are under, actually all under the engineer's estimate, which is good.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
Right.
If you guys are okay with that, I'd like to have you make a motion to take these bids under advisement and have me bring them back. Was our next meeting the 18th, I believe?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Bring that back to you on the 18th.
So moved.
Second,
got it.
you got that? Second, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And those of you that are in the room that bid, I appreciate your time in bidding and coming to the bid opening today, so. I will get together, I will put a bid tab together and get sent out to you guys, hopefully here in the next few days. That way you guys will see that. As soon as I can get it put together, we'll get it sent out. But thank you for everything, guys.
Good deal.
I do have another bid opening here for the equipment for our new tandem dump trucks. I have one bid here, looks like. From Clyde Truck Equipment.
Were there multiple bids asked then?
It was advertised and sent out, and it was advertised on our website.
Okay. Lida? This is a tandem?
This is for the equipment that goes on the tandem
Oh,
truck.
yes, yeah.
So the body, the plows, the build.
Yep.
It looks like one truck is 174.5. So for both tandem trucks, it'd be 349,000. So that's the bid on the trucks.
How do you coordinate the chassis with that to make sure that this bid,
Anyone, we put the specs together as close as we can to match the truck. It's up to the builder to get with the truck company manufacturer and make sure that it fits our truck specs.
the timing, what if the chassis wouldn't make it to the builder in time and then the builder says,
We gotta sit and wait till, that's the gamble.
okay,
Unfortunately, that's today's gamble.
okay.
I did hear last week, whether it will come true or not, our tandems are looking, they may be here in April.
Okay.
Which we was originally told the end of next year.
Yeah,
Right.
I think things are loosening up a little bit.
So if that happens, I'm not for sure where we're at with equipment. That might be close.
Okay.
getting them. So there might be a chance the trucks might have to set for a month.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
But normally it's the other way. I know the builders and the truck dealers try to coordinate their times, but it seems like one or the other is sitting on equipment nowadays. It's just, it's the society we're in. The days of scheduling arrival at the same time, I don't think happen as well as we like.
These numbers are kind of what we were expecting though, weren't they? I mean,
That's what I envisioned. I'm going to look through here and make sure that our specs match and correct, and I'd like to do the same thing with this bid, take this under advisement until the next meeting, and then bring back a recommendation. That way I can go through and make sure their specs all match what we bid, and
I'd make a motion to have Ben take this under advisement and present at the next meeting.
I will second that motion. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Begin to her, Ben. You got your
Okay.
homework. Oh,
I did see Clyde in here. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you taking the time and bid and then coming to the bid opening, so. Hey, I will. Yep, thank you, guys.
We
You're
need it
welcome.
done in 2 weeks. You can do that, right? Yeah. All right.
Hey, Jeremy, before you take off, what's delivery time you looking at?
So you're, for ordering equipment right now, it's 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
You hit the nail on the head perfectly when you said, back 5 years ago.
yeah.
We'll stay in coordination with Dan.
Okay. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
guys.
So anyway, that's our bids for the day. So I'll look through those and make sure everything's within spec and all the part paperwork's filled out, completed, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
The only other thing I had was just to touch base a little bit the last couple weeks here. We had the County Road 56 grand opening. Went well, had a nice little crowd of people out there. A lot of positive feedback on that road. A lot of people's glad that's done. That was a good project. And as it's been open, I've heard more people that's happy with that road. So
I bet.
I
Who
was-
wouldn't be?
I know it, yeah.
Beautiful road.
It rides good, it looks good, and that went really well.
When will we get a study on that to establish a speed limit? Any idea?
It'll be next year sometime,
Next year? In the meantime, it's just 55?
55.
Yeah, okay.
That road was built for that. You know, I really don't, at this point, I don't see any issues with it. It was that in the past years, it's that today, except now it's built for that. It's by far safer than it ever was.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'll get a count on it in the spring. They're always gonna want it to be open and get through the winter as we're going through the beginning and start going to winter months. Let the people drive it and see what their behavior is gonna be on that road.
That's what we need. I mean, if they're going to run at 70 miles an hour, then we may have to drop that down.
Well, if they're running 70, they just need to patrol it,
Yeah.
ultimately. I mean, there's a big difference from 55 to 70.
Oh, yes, oh,
Because if
yes.
they're running that, if it's 40, they're going to run 60.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they really just will need to
But that's
enforce
the
it.
point, though, at least they're going to run over it no matter what. So,
Right.
but the lower you set it, they're still going to run the 10 or 15 over. But if you set it down, it's going to reduce that speed somewhat.
I did make a request to Sheriff Thomas. I let him know when the date that was opening, and I recommended, I think, a strong police force, enforcement out there. The first couple of weeks would speak volumes to that
Yeah.
road, because,
Good idea.
so hopefully, I haven't seen him out there. I haven't been out there a whole lot. I haven't heard any. Have you? Great.
That's good.
I'd like to see one of them speed limit signs too that flash, you know. They slows most people down. A few people, they want to see how fast their car goes, so they to see what it reads, but
Oh,
for the
Is
most.
that you?
Well, no,
the
no.
radar, the radar signs.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, when I see one, because there's times that I'm doing 63 or 4 and not thinking about it, and oh crap, that's a ticket.
You know, the newer cars today and the new improved roads, it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
yes.
And I'm not sure the speed limit will really encourage people to go slower on that one, but bigger ticket for them. Now they're really pissed, but but I really think a flashing sign, just for like 6 months, they do them in Waterloo all the time by the school zone there and stuff, and it makes me think, hey, there's kids here, slow down, dummy. So I think that would be a great
We'll
thing.
see how it
out there.
goes and moving forward, and we may look at some options here next year. We'll see what the traffic behavior's like
Yeah.
and how things go, and I'm kind of hoping the state police that sits here on 427 might kind of mosey over there to 56,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, that's,
because he hides there at Heron Lake pretty regular, and they enforce that 45.
and that's in my head. When I go through there, I'm thinking, because that's an easy one to do 70 mile an hour on, because when I was a kid, it was 55 and you ran
Right.
60, 65. When I drive through there, I knowing that those cops sit there, I go, think, so.
Okay.
Make you think when they get in your pocketbook.
Yes, you do.
The other thing I just wanted to hit on was the open house last week went really well. I was really pleased with the turnout we've seen from employees, elected officials, and even the general public. It was nice to see the turnout we had, and I was very honored to see everybody come and the people that spoke, and it was nice to see everyone there. So,
It was great.
Yep.
Good job.
A lot of comments about it.
yes, there was.
Yeah. A lot of good comments.
Appreciate FCI getting the food for us, too.
Yes.
It was not very nice of them.
Yes.
It was. No, the whole thing went good. The weather was perfect. And, like I said, I was really surprised with the turnout. I had a John Deere salesman that was there, Dave Blakey, and he said, I've been to a lot of open houses over the years. He said, I think yours trumped them all. He said, you had a great big turnout. So I just thought I'd share that. And also, I wanted to thank everyone for coming and the public, and
Absolutely.
it was appreciated. So I've been off here the last week and a half, so I don't have a whole lot for you guys today. I'm kind of getting back in the groove to take off again. So I got a lot of time to use before my December 1st
Gee,
date.
how'd you make so much time anyway?
It's called not taking it all year that you kept me too busy. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to get that all done, and I've got a lot of things to get wrapped up before I'm off, so. But I think that's all I have for you guys, unless you have anything for me.
I talked to Brian Weller, and he says the generator's supposed to be there fairly soon, I believe. And he's ready to get you completely hooked up.
That would be great. I've heard some potential dates, but I haven't gotten an exact date. But
Yeah.
everything's stemming around this first to middle November. For the fuel tank, the generator,
Yeah.
Fine.
the sign should be coming too, yes. Because when I asked him before the open house, he said we probably are at 30 days. So that should be coming too. And I had not followed up with him, and I can do that.
Okay.
That would be nice to get that out there.
Yes.
It would look great.
All righty. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay, well, thank you guys. If you need anything, let me know.
There's Mike.
Well, looky there.
Hey, Mike. Yeah.
I got it all warmed up for you. Good seeing you.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Mike's on, you're all ready.
All right.
Okay.
Morning.
Good morning.
We got just a little gap here. Todd, do you want to go ahead with
Oh, yeah, if
your
you,
suggestion?
yeah, I'm glad
That
Mike's
out of the
here for
way.
this, because, and this is just a preliminary thought, of course. Well, what'd I do with my copy? Talking about highway and everything else here. Drugs, how much alcohol I can drink. Oh, here we are. All right. All right, so we've discussed county manager, Mike, before, and I was just kind of laying out some ideas here, and I didn't think you were going to be here, Mike, so I didn't give you a copy, but I'll make a copy. These are just handwritten notes. I think our county manager, I think it's a great idea. I think we're big enough now, enough departments. Have someone unify us all. As far as the, departments working together, work cohesively to reduce expenses and maybe even just make things run smoother, okay? I think that county manager should be appointed by the commissioners. I think it'd be a 2-year term. And I don't think it should be the president. And one of the reasons, I kind of like to do this year and make it so it's not the president for 2 reasons. At least get the position created. Doesn't have to be funded. Just say, hey, we've created this position. If council wants to fund it, so be it. If they don't, they don't. But this way, no one in this board benefits from it. In other words, Bill couldn't be the county manager.
Oh,
You see
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, sure,
It separates the power.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the president has his powers, county manager. And I think a 2-year term's good because the first year is going to be a learning curve. You know, and I think you have to look at it, and this is all negotiable. I'm just throwing out some ideas.
Are you saying that an elected official commissioner could be a county manager?
It'd be a stipend. It'd be a stipend on the job.
I don't agree with that at all. That needs to be an outside the elected.
Okay, well, these are ideas.
Just a
I'm just
thought,
floating them
yeah,
out.
just a
So,
thought.
yeah, well, there's a copy for you.
Good.
I think,
You think he needs to be elected?
No,
No,
I don't think an elected official should be a county manager. It needs to be a
Appointed.
hired, interviewed, and consensus person.
okay.
do you think it should be one of the commissioners or
No.
no,
I think it should not be
a
an
commissioner?
commissioner. No.
The reason
I think
I,
that's, number one, that's an overstep powers, because you're giving an elected commissioner a whole new set of powers
that's possible.
in the county. I just don't think that's appropriate at all.
That's a good point. My reasoning for it was we get Larry coming in saying, I need this sweeper. We get this person saying, well, I need this, need that. It's the Mickey Mouse stuff. And I think our commissioner, especially like you attend what is it, Indiana?
SEC.
Yeah, I think that one of the commissioners should be involved with that directly all the time and be able to form the other commissioner. But let me go through the list here, whether it's
Yeah, go ahead.
commissioner or
Yeah, go
not.
ahead.
Because this job, guys, this isn't, as a commissioner, you can put in 2 hours every 2 weeks and fulfill your duties. But you can do a lot more. This is going to be 30 to 40 hours minimum extra on top of what the commissioner would do. If it's not a commissioner, whoever would take the position, it'd be a 40-hour plus job. I'm talking big duties here. To give you an idea, probably be the main purchasing agent for all departments, working with each department to prove efficiency and effectiveness. Now, obviously, they're not going to buy trucks for Ben, but they would be part of the process. He could educate them. This is why I need this truck. He knows what every department's doing, he or she. Let me rephrase that. Meet with the HR weekly to discuss hiring needs and possible job combining cost savings or whatever could be done there. Dottie presents to us every week, but it'd be nice if the county manager was in tune with what's going on and could, again, if they're meeting with all the departments, they'd have a grasp what's happening. And I take number 5, don't take that literally. Become an expert in healthcare options and a way to reduce costs. By expert, I mean well-versed. This healthcare is getting so out of control, I'm really concerned for next year. We need some advocate that really knows what's going on and to be able to work yearly with our insurance company. And I just went on healthcare.gov because I'm losing my insurance. Have the insurance I have right now, and I'm at a moderate income, is $40,000 a year with a $18,000 deductible. To have what I had in 2008 is $60,000 a year. To have an $18,000 deductible and virtually no emergency room, virtually no drug coverage, was $18,000 a year. And that's just for me and my wife. So we need someone to really monthly be involved with our insurance company saying, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? And so I just think, again, this is a full-time job. Meet with departments quarterly to discuss needs, progress, and items that need attention. Work closely with maintenance department to ensure buildings are being maintained, put a restoration plan in place for each building. Work closely with highway department to fully understand how roads and bridges are assessed and maintained, along with funding, what are the funding facets to it? Meet with council at each meeting and meet with one member of council every month. I think that's important. We need someone to be really integrated with council, especially each member, just get their, just have a talk with them, person to person. Attend IACC as much as possible and any other functions that may provide more funding or cost savings opportunities. If they're not a commissioner, obviously they wouldn't do that. That was when I was thinking commissioner. Oversee all construction projects. What I mean by that is they're not the construction manager, but they're watching how are our tax dollars being spent on these projects. Big one here, meet with mayors and town managers once per month. Hey, what's going on? How can we help? How can you help us?
I've been doing that for 4 years.
I know you have, that's what I'm saying, but again, the manager, and then, consider options in economic development. Not sure how that's gonna go, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed. Become well-versed in grant opportunities. Big one here, guys, too, I didn't realize, learn about EMS operations and possible opportunities. We do have a pretty good deal through Parkview, price-wise. We're gonna get a bump, I know there is, I've heard a number. I expect that. However, if you read our contract with EMS Services, it states we will attempt to provide 3 paramedics. However, we can't guarantee it, which I understand. We will limit our runs between hospitals so it doesn't affect paramedic availability. However, we can't guarantee it. Where the money's made, I understand, listening to people that have worked in the industry, they make a lot of money between transferring someone, let's say, from Coldwater, Michigan to Fort Wayne. That maybe pays $3,000, whereas an EMS run pays $1,100. Another thing I learned, paramedics are very low paid in the grand scheme of things, and they can become a nurse with an extra years of training. Well, salary doubles, but a nurse can't be a paramedic. And there's a difference between a paramedic and an EMT. A paramedic can do much, much more. The reason why I bring this up, I had a firefighter discuss with me a problem where someone broke their hip and there was not a paramedic available in the county. Whitley County EMS showed up, was there on time, no problem, but there was no one there that could give any pain meds at all, and this older lady is suffering in pain and they couldn't even give her morphine or anything because they're not a paramedic. So I think, again, I think someone that's well-versed in this understands the process. I didn't know as a commissioner how it worked. Rick Ring does know how it works, but Rick Ring doesn't sign the contract, we do. So someone needs to be responsible to really dig into this and see what our options are. That's just one, I just expanded on that because it brought up to me. Let's see here. I think the airport manager needs to be met with monthly to better understand future expansions, how the airport could come even more beneficial to the county and hopefully tax neutral someday. Work with the surveyor. I know the commissioners are, of course, on drainage board, but I think the surveyor needs to be visited monthly by the county manager. Meet with state reps and senators once per quarter. Hey, what's going on? What information can you give us? I think we need to work more with our higher government directly.
I have criticized roundly for meeting with the state officials. Isn't that funny?
Well, no, I think it needs to be done, but everyone needs, this way we're being versed on what's happening. You see what I'm saying? I think it's great that you did it. I just want to hear what happened. And then I think we need to meet with the third floor once per quarter and the sheriff once per quarter, the county manager, and say, hey, what do you need? How can we help? How can you help us type thing? More communication. I think a county manager, instead of people just showing up saying, here's what we need, and it blindsides us a little bit, and oh, I didn't know that's happening. A county manager could prepare us all for this. So basic ideas. I appreciate your input on not being a commissioner, something to think about for sure, but I think it is something that really needs to be settled this year.
I'm not sure that legally you can even do that.
Might not be. Might not be.
I mean, that's the reason you would hire a town manager or a county manager or whatever, because elected officials are cycled in and out every 2 years. And none of us on this board right now are an expert in all of this stuff.
No.
Okay.
But people in a town manager or county manager position that have gone through all of that.
Let's pick this up a little bit more later if we have time.
Little idea to start.
Yeah, I don't
Let's
have
get
any-
Tracy,
you know, I've
Tracy
got-
up here and
Yep. That
he's
one's
ready
fine.
to present.
Good morning.
Hello.
It's been a minute since I've seen you.
Yes.
Few minutes.
Yeah. So Rod and I are here to present third quarter with DART Transportation. I sent documents, hope everybody has. The agenda I kind of wanted to go over today. Right now, just kind of a review of the past quarter of DART. We have 14 part-time drivers. We've held that pretty steady all year this year. We've had 14 and we've shuffled a couple, but still at 14 drivers. We did have two concerning accidents reported this quarter. Both were not due to our fault. Basically, it was distracted drivers. Somebody ran into one of our drivers at Wesley Park Apartment while they were picking up a rider. And we did have a claim filed. The estimate damage was $2,765.69. We had that repaired at Bastille Auto Body and Paint, and that is back in-house. That was a quick repair for us. And then 919, the transit was sitting same road, coincidentally, and turning into onto Smith Farm Road to go into Wesley Park, had riders on board, and a minivan hit the back end. Distracted driving, didn't see him stopped in the road, and caused quite a bit of damage. That was estimated damage, $9,265.15. And it was one of our large transits, which is really hard to find repair in the area. So that is down at Hoosier Truck and Trailer in Fort Wayne. Unfortunately, this is the large transit that had the accident out on a county road several years back when I first started. So they're in the process of getting that completed. Both repairs are being handled by the other driver's insurance, which is great for us. But both will be, one is on the road and one we hope to be receiving back soon with that large transit. Day trips at DART are in full swing. So we started day trips this year. I had announced earlier in the year we were going to start doing day trips with our seniors at the HIMAX Center, having DART take them, charging a base fee, taking them to several different locations throughout the year. The first one we did was Wabash, Ride the Dixie. We took them to Wabash, took them on that big paddle boat. We had 33 people sign up for that first trip. We took 3 DART transits over there with drivers and had it figured out so that the cost, the gas, the driver's wages and everything was included on that, and so that we can still make a slight bit of revenue off of these trips and provide entertainment and day trips for the seniors. They also did Shipshewana. They took a trip to the Blue Gate Theater and went to see a show and had lunch. And then we got the idea of doing a sponsorship for these trips. So we spoke with Oak Partners, and they are now going to be our sponsor for these trips and have stepped in with a base fee that we can put into a pot and use to help offset any costs. So this will be no cost to us and the center and DART, but that we can have these trips sponsored and get seniors out in the community doing several things.
Who was that sponsor again?
Oak Partners.
Oh,
Oak
financial.
Partners with Nick Schumann, yes. So he's jumped on board and he plans on joining some of the trips with us and riding along. And the next one they're doing is to go see Excelsior show. I believe that's November 14th, and then taking a group down to see the Festival of Trees in Fort Wayne. We know a lot of our seniors don't like to drive downtown Fort Wayne, especially in the evening. So we figured this would be a great opportunity to utilize DART to offer that. And we plan on continuing those into 2025. Then we met with the Waterloo Town Board about, we like to give them, we offer all of the townships and the towns opportunity for us to come in and present and give them numbers now that we have really strong data on who is writing DART, who is using our facility with the HIMAX Center. So we went up to the Waterloo Town Board and presented with them and talked to them about how some of their residents were having issues getting back and forth to work. Single mother had to get their child to daycare, had to get back and forth to work and was struggling. We had some wonderful people who stepped up and purchased punch cards for us to be able to utilize to help these people get back and forth to their work. And we thought that would be a great thing to take into other town boards and other township trustees that we talk to and see if there's more opportunity for that, for helping these people get to the places they need to be. So that was just something new that we started working on this past quarter. As far as our quarterly invoice, so we reported, or we turned in the expense report, Q3 for transportation. Our expenses were $170,683.86. That is down $26,337 from last quarter. We were really low in a lot of maintenance last quarter, which is fantastic. So that really helped out in that category. Our fare totals, we were down $6K less. The biggest chunk I noticed was nursing homes. My next agenda for that is to team up with transportation and go into these nursing homes. And we've done it in the past, and it seems like with turnover rate, with who is in what positions in those facilities, it's nice to go back on a regular basis and talk to them about writing transportation DART, transporting their residents to and from appointments they have, how that all flows. We had a big change this past year with nursing homes because we lost our broker. With Verida, that is, the broker would take any Medicaid clients and it would broker through them, and now it's all directly through the nursing homes. So it's changed our ridership a little bit, but as you noticed, then when I post passenger trips from Q3 in 2023 to Q3 in 2024, we're actually up about 200 riders, 220 riders for the quarter. I like to always give you annual passenger trips from year to year. So I put 22, 23, and 24. Currently, we're at 13,623 trips and finishing out the third quarter. And last year, 2023, we had 17,000 trips by the end of year. So we're right on track and hopefully even maybe be up a little higher. So other than that, the only thing I really have here is our third quarter invoice that I have here for you to sign for our operating budget in blue ink.
Blue ink, right?
In blue ink. Do any of you have any questions or concerns or thoughts or suggestions?
I'd like to make an additional comment that staff at DART works together well, dispatch, drivers, transportation, financial person, working together to provide a quality service for residents. Very proud of the DART program.
Yeah.
Can't believe nobody has any questions. Quiet
No questions.
room this time.
So we need a motion to approve the third quarter. What's the technical term for it?
The third quarter invoice
The
for
third
DART,
quarter
yes.
invoice.
Yes.
Yeah.
President signed.
Yep, and President signed, so moved.
A second.
Got a motion second, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, next quarter, I'll probably be in after the first of the year because we'll close out Decembers and January. So I will see you after the first of the year, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.
You
I
too,
can't believe
Tracy.
it's already upon us.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, if you wait a minute, she'll get us a copy and then.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let's move right on. Vicky Riley? Vicky not here?
See anybody?
Almost 11.
See anybody from St. Joe?
Todd, the lock deal.
There might
Oh,
You want to do that?
be people outside.
yeah, real quick, I talked to Larry and about, there is only one door to that building on the outside. I thought there was two. That tells you my memory.
I know what you mean.
But Larry says it's easy, he thinks he can easily change it out. I have a list of people that need keys, and I think we need to change that lock and get keys to these appropriate people because we have non-employees accessing a county building.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree 100%.
So
Yeah.
I would make a motion to
It
let,
should be easy, it's just a warranty
Just a simple lock.
Ace could rekey it if.
that's what I'm
if
saying,
they can't
pull
replace
the
it.
lock and rekey it.
Yeah.
I'd just make a motion to authorize Larry to rekey that building and hand out the appropriate
I
keys.
will second that.
A motion and second. Did you get all that, Susan?
Yep.
Okay.
And Susan gave me the list, so
All right.
thank you.
Motion and a
Jody
second.
gave me the list.
Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And
All right.
new lock set
I
on
already-
that. and-
Yeah, I already sent the list to Larry too. so,
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Moving forward.
Why, I thought there was two doors to that building.
Yeah, there's an overhead on the
Could we just switch
South
here and
end.
move on to Michael?
Overhead door.
Michael,
Yeah.
come on up.
Sure about Vicky.
Just anymore.
I know what you mean.
Sure.
That'd be fine. What you got, Michael?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I always forget that. Did you, I sent the one pager to each of you have that. There's one in color if you want that, but this is probably fine. A bit of a fact-finding mission. If you had taken a look at this, I've been in here previously a year or more ago and requested the ability to go after a grant. It was a SIM JPAR grant. Really what that was is a grant through the Indiana Office of Court Services, but it was federal money. And it pays for our probation officer assistant female position. Supports all of what we do with the treatment court division. With that, one of the things that they want from that grant is for us to complete a workshop, which we did, this sequential intercept model workshop. You bring in a doctor from IU and a couple other people, and they help us go through everything that's going on here in the county with community supervision, law enforcement. And as you can see down here is a nice colored picture that Ms. Fosnaugh put together on this one pager to kind of give you that picture. Take every intercept in this community on somebody with a mental health, opioid disorder, drug or alcohol dependence issue, and how they would contact every intercept, the holes we have, how we talk to each other, all of that. So it's a day and a half of us creating these large paperwork schemes all the way across the Auburn training facility to map out our entire system. As you can see, there are 29 local professionals from all different parts of that talking about those intercepts. And on the right, you can see all of the groups that were there. The priorities were then mapped and given us a top 5. Taking that list of 29, all of those people were given 3 stickers and walk up, take a look at the top priorities that we had, and attempt to put what they thought were the top values here in this community. The number 1 top value ended up being a re-entry system for our jail. And what that is someone who helps with case management with inside the jail to meet with people who are currently incarcerated to help plan for their release. What's going to happen when you walk out, okay? There in the bottom box down there to the left, you're going to see some information that basically tells you what that person might do. They're going to help coordinate with the sheriff, with that person, maybe get them qualified for insurance, Medicaid purposes, so that when they walk out, they have the ability for transportation, medical care, treatment. They have the ability to go and meet with Bowen Center, meet with Northeastern Center, get a phone, talk about where they're going to live, with the ultimate goal of reducing recidivism. I mean, almost every time you guys see me, that's the conversation we're having. How can I stop the revolving door at the jail? And our investment in reducing the jail population, recidivism, and crime in DeKalb County. Okay, that's the goal. The more services we can provide to them in that, more coordination we can have in that, the hope is that we can reduce that recidivism. The bottom green box you're going to see there is one of the things that immediately makes it an issue for all of us, which is knowing that a quarter of those accidental overdoses in this county were people who are recently incarcerated. With the opioid epidemic, fentanyl being one of the newest issues here in the street, what you will find is people who have a period of sobriety, which may be a term of incarceration, and then leave without any help, without any services, without the connection to those services immediately. If they immediately relapse, they have a high rate of overdose. And each one of those people, we have to remember is somebody's brother, cousin, family member. The opioid addiction, much like some of the horrible things we have in society today, seems like they're touching a lot of families. And that's our goal. Now, the idea of that, we have to find a way to fund that. Working with the sheriff, and through that SIM project, there were 3 or 4 actual participants from the sheriff's department. They already have a provider who has a contract for that, has that program built. QCC actually has that navigator. The problem is now we got to find the money to pay for it. We've talked about all of those. JRAC, a group put together to really take a look at those projects, has talked about that. Where can we find that funding? Created another smaller work study group headed by Director Fosnaugh, but includes the sheriff, parts of Bowen Center, to look at that and say, how is that possible? We're here now taking an immediate shot because ARPA funds were brought up in that, and to see if those were still available, if they are available at all. So it was maybe less than 2 weeks ago, talking about, hey, this is an amazing program. It's ready. It's built. We could go look for that, but we got to find the money. We knew that ARPA funds were out there, so we're in here, much like a fact-finding mission, giving you as much as we can in a short period of time to say, if it's there, we would love to be a part of the discussion. If it's not, we completely understand. Right now, we believe that you could support a full-time person to do that. They could touch everybody at the jail and do the work that's described here on that one-pager. But for that, you're looking at about $80,000 a year, covering salary, taxes, insurance, benefit, and they're really looking for a 3-year contract. One of the most important things that we discovered at our last meeting from the sheriff, and he backed me up, was that with the 3-year contract, the hope is that QCC will do enough information gathering from the time period they're here, with tracking contacts with mental health providers upon release, the recidivism rates and things of that nature, that they would be able to file their own grant at the end of 3 years with the federal government and pay for that themselves. That's the goal. If we're unable to convince you that a full-time position is appropriate, both with this little time or little information that you have, they do have a part-time option available at $37,600 annually. Ultimately, it looks like, and the sheriff can correct me if I'm wrong, that if they did that, they may be using the same person that's already there for QCC and just taking part of that time that they're already there and kind of putting them on the reentry programming to facilitate all the needs that they might have there. Again, still looking for a 3-year contract. They're a little bit flexible on that, but for me, the goal orientation, regardless of where we come up for the money, is to look at 2-3 years down the road and say, does this work? What does it benefit us? How do we support it long term if it does? We're going to have to do that no matter where we get the money, whether it's granting or funding from the county or funding from outside sources. we're going to judge it in 2 or 3 years and say, does this work? What's the benefit? And come back and look for that money. The truth is, no matter what effort we put into this, I think we're going to see benefit. Doing a limited amount now for those people, any amount that we do has the possibility of saving on medical costs, has the ability to save on reentry costs. I know that the jail population numbers have been something we've paid attention to and studied. I know with this group, my group, everybody that's involved since I got here. It's been a focus and one that we've done a great job on, in my opinion. But you have to keep going after it. You will continuously see it fluctuate, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 people at a time is growth. We have to continue to battle that. We have to continue to look at that and say, if I can reduce it by 2 or 3 or 4 a year, that's a lot of funding. That's a lot of help towards our community and each human being that we can actually help. I don't know how many they actually affect as well. But if there's any additional questions, and Director Fosnot and the sheriff have also, obviously they've worked on that subcommittee and separated from myself. I was just made a part of that, but have been a part of the SIM process and looking at reentry. Regardless, as I say, where we find the money, this is not the first or last time. We are going to get this project rolling one way or another. The question is, how do we do that? And we'd like to ask you for your help if you have it. But if there's any additions from Director Fosnot or the sheriff that they think is necessary.
One of the things I wanted to add was I had talked with the sheriff of Hancock County. That's who we talked with. They have the program in their facility, and they currently have 2, what we call the jail navigators. They have 250 inmates in their jail, so a different size, but they employ 2 full-time people and just brought on their 3rd one. So they have seen overwhelming advantages and benefits from this jail navigator position. I'm 100% on board with it. It's been a very good team effort to collaborate and get all this information together, and we have the space for it, and I think we have the ability to do it, and 100% supportive of it. I think it would be a good thing.
Did you guys have any questions for any of us?
Commissioners,
In a
questions?
nutshell, what would the person, just overview exactly what would they do? I mean, I heard a lot
Sure.
of words that just floated around in my head, but
Same, yeah. Short version.
just give me a
I'll give you the
flow
best.
chart of what the person
Now,
did.
honestly, our intention is to have hands-on work with the person who does QCC. But if you look down here,
What? I'm sorry.
that we would have hands-on direction, hopefully, to help them direct exactly what we want for them. But it's talking about meeting directly with somebody who's currently incarcerated and talking about what barriers, what gaps, what they need, and what connections they can make for them before they're released.
Okay, all right.
Now, there's statute that says we should be looking at making sure they're qualified for Medicaid. We should be helping them with all that. Once you do those things, they have availability for transportation. They have availability to meet directly and get assessed for through Northeastern Center or Bowman Center to get another person to help them navigate the difficulties and the barriers they have in their life, whether it's housing or transportation or treatment. Or one of the things that's highly focused in here is addiction. If they walk right out without any services, what's the expectation that they're going to change? Every time we do education in this community management, we're talking about people, places, and things. Many times the judiciary, we have no choice. Incarceration's part of the process. But we should be looking at every way we can at the period of time that we have, and I hate to use this term inappropriately, but a captive audience, to look at them and say, here's how we can help. And when they're sitting there at the jail, sometimes that may be the right place to look at them and say, here's how we can help. I can get you connected with transportation. I can help you get you a phone. I can help get you to Bowen Center. And or things like medically assisted treatment. Let's say somebody finally, after a couple months, or whatever, and the jail says, my addiction, I've realized it's beyond my control. And I can realize that while I'm clean and I'm sitting here, but the moment I get back out, where am I going to go? Back to the same house where the drugs were? The lack of employment or the lack of ability to stay away from it? We're right back to the revolving door. But if I had the ability to give them assist them in getting treatment, mat treatment, transportation, maybe help with finding a different place to live, or maybe they've come to the realization that they can't do it on their own and they need to get into a halfway house. If we can get all of that done before they hit the street, we have a better chance of making sure that they don't return. If we wait, we let them go, and then hope while they're on the street they make a better decision after they've been released, I think those numbers would prove that we're failing in that. And they're going to get back out. They find themselves with a lack of choice, feeling like they have a lack of choices, and just returning to old people, places, and things because that's what they know. We're looking to give them a different way.
Makes sense. I appreciate that. Sheriff, what access do inmates have to information?
Well, just information that can help them.
No, information in general. If do they have internet access?
Yeah, all the inmates have tablets, and there's information on those tablets. We can put memos on there, information for them, information about treatment facilities in the area. So that's all available to them. I think one of the differences with this program would be the individual meeting with that person and helping them navigate that a little bit. I think one of the things that I've seen over time is, unfortunately, the same, whether they have a drug addiction or not, some do and some don't, the same person in and out of the jail every year for 15 years. They come in and they do a couple of months at a time. They go out, they're out for a few months, and they're back in. We have local people like that 15, 20 years, they've just been in and out of the jail. And is this something that we can take and change the trajectory of them? Maybe help them a little bit when they get out. What are you going to do different this time to change that? I think sometimes it's that positive mentorship or a little bit of guidance that can improve their life, but also reduce the recidivism. And that's actually one thing that we don't even know within the jail's parameters anyway, what the recidivism really is in DeKalb County. As Mike and I were talking before, that's a evolving and always changing definition, how you define it. And I think that's a lot of work to track. So that's one thing we currently don't even know within the jail. We don't have a definition for that or what that would be. But that would be a responsibility of the jail navigator to track this information so that after these couple or few years, we have those statistics in order to apply for those grants, which QCC would also take care of that. So I think it's a unique opportunity.
Again?
I'm sorry, QCC. That's the medical care provider for the jail that we contract with.
QCC, all right, thank you.
So they run some of our programs, and that's who we would use for the jail navigator position. So I think it's a unique opportunity, if ARPA funds are available, to use money. And really, I think that it would probably save money in the long run if we can reduce recidivism and help these people not come back to the jail. It's an investment of money here up front, but I think overall it's an investment in the community.
Questions? Is this something that somebody like Inspiration Ministry, could they provide those services?
I don't know what the abilities of their people are. I know with QCC, this person is either a bachelor's or master's level person that's, I don't know if do you know if it's a certification, Mike?
To the best of my knowledge, everything that would be provided by QCC would be slightly different. Your description would be a faith-based program is a little bit different. We're looking for open focus all the way across the board. So no, is the short answer.
I think the other thing that they didn't hit on that is also going to be an important part of this reentry person is that they're going to help with securing medication services. So for example, when somebody leaves the jail, correct me if I'm wrong, they get 7 to 10 days worth of their medication. And after that, they're responsible for finding it themselves. So they focused a lot when they were talking before about substance abuse, but we're also talking about those with mental health issues. And so to have them out in the community with only 7 days worth of medicine, they have the ability on their own to go and get that prescription refilled? Do they know how, where, all of the different things that go into that? And so the navigator can help them before they're released to kind of set up like, hey, you have remaining refills? If you don't, who's your prescriber? How do we get you another prescription? Where do you get it filled? What's your medical coverage? Especially with people with mental health, sometimes they don't have the capacity to take all of those steps on their own. So this is something where the navigator could set them on the right. And then also the navigator is going to be responsible for kind of communicating with the other criminal justice partners, because we're talking about kind of a huge population of people as far as what different attributes do they have going on. Are they somebody who's just going to be released to the community with absolutely no other supervision following? Are they a pretrial person? Are they somebody who's supposed to report to probation after they're released from the jail? Do we know that they know to do that? If they're pretrial, do they know when their next court date is? So all those kinds of things. And I think, especially for the medication portion, somebody from QCC would be good for that because they have that kind of medical background as far as helping coordinate how you're getting your medicine once you get out. And then also setting up those appointments with either providers or with Bowen or Northeastern, because they kind of all speak the same language, I guess is one way to put it. And kind of will be able to communicate with each other about what is actually needed for each individual.
This makes a lot of sense. We hear this all the time at mental health and addiction conferences and seminars. You know, if you can redirect some of these folks back into society rather than in that revolving door of reoffending every couple of months or 6 months or whatever, the long-term savings to the community are substantial. And if this company, if QCC already has a successful program, it doesn't make any sense to reinvent the wheel for DeKalb County. And obviously you've got some firsthand knowledge from one of your counterparts of a successful program. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
One of the other things I wanted to communicate from the day and a half of SIM, if you take a look on the right, all the people that were there, to have people from every version, every intercept, look at that and say it's a whole. It didn't matter what part of the intercept they were involved in. They were able to look at us after taking a look for a day and a half of everything everybody does in that room and say, this is one of the places that we really just need to get active. It was shocking to everybody in that room to look at that and say, after everything that we do on a daily basis, we had failed to meet that need and want to make sure that we go and do as much as we can to make sure that we fulfill it.
Okay.
I think one other thing that kind of spells success for a program like this now is just because, like with the SIM mapping exercise, we've got so many community partners on board now as resources to direct these folks to, that it just makes a huge, huge difference.
It's strange that we come today, I mean, your discussion of a county manager, it's much the same. I mean, who makes the connection for people who aren't connected? If they're not coming to parole, probation, pretrial, any of the rest of that, who's making that connection for them? The jail's expectations end that day. That's the way the system's built. And if we have the ability to make those connections with somebody else who's going to do the legwork and get them connected with all those services, then we'll catch them.
Is there any work with the people then once they're out as well with this position, like within the week after they're out, to follow up with them and say, did you actually do A, B, and C that we planned while you were here?
We hope so, because we will have to track the numbers. If we want to know whether we did the work with them, got them hooked up with a doctor for the medication, or whether they got hooked up with Bowen Center, that person should be checking to find out whether they actually did it.
Okay.
And that will, I believe that both myself, the sheriff, and Director Fosnaugh are all talking about what's the success. I mean, I think those are the measures. After we let them go, are they actually going to do the things that got set up for?
It's when someone's released from, let's say, level 1 felony is the highest, right? And level 6, what would be a dealing on methamphetamine? What level felony would that be?
Oh, level 1, last I knew.
How about taking methamphetamine?
Possession?
In possession, what would that? 6.
Level 6.
Okay, so say you get someone that's really addicted to methamphetamine, level 6 felony. When they serve their time, do they have to report to a parole officer afterwards or not?
All depends on the sentence. plea agreements, convicted by a jury, all of those things are all variables. You also have people who are not fans of doing community supervision because that's money, drug testing, and the rest, and some of them may just take the time. Or because of open pleas, a judge has the ability to sentence them to partial incarceration and partial supervision, or full incarceration. The hope is that everyone gets some version of community supervision, but those look different. Parole and probation are two completely different entities, one controlled by the state, one local. And so, yeah, it's variable, very different. And this would include everybody who's at the jail. Okay, that could be initial conviction, pre-trial, can be people who are back on a probation violation, who've already failed some version of community supervision, whether it be myself or community corrections. The full-time one would be able to touch everybody.
Sheriff, do you have the authority to require inmates to follow? Can you write some type of program that they must, they have this tablet, like kind of like I have to do through our IPEP for our sexual harassment and all that, that I have to do it in order to, do you have the authority to make them take a test on the tablet or information, hey, when you get out, what's ABC? Could I go to Bowdoin Center if I have mental health issues?
No, I don't think I would have the authority to do
You don't
that.
have authority
Sometimes
to
we
do
have a
that?
problem getting them to, clean up their room. And so I think that, or pre-trial interviews that we do, they won't cooperate with someone trying to help them sometimes get what they need. So I think the only tool that we would have with that is, it kind of depends on the program. There are some programs that don't have any incentives, and that attracts the right person to want to do that program. They want to change their life. They're at a point where they want to change it, so that's good. But there are some other incentives that can be done that could be given. Sometimes we have some small things that we'll give some incentives, to get done. And then, of course, so not really ability or authority to require it, but for behavior we don't want, there's consequences for that.
The only reason I ask that, they seem to have plenty of time to write tort claims against us. And, they have a tablet, they have information all they want. We could preload the tablet with all this information and just tell them, here are your options, and then give them a book when they leave. If you feel as though you are having a crisis mentally, call this number. If you feel as though you or need help with medication, you need to call this number. The only problem I have with this, guys, and I understand the idea. I'm all for better mental health, people getting off drugs, but we have a health department that's telling people not to take drugs, but on programs. We have drug-free DeKalb that just here today getting money. We have drug court. We have family restoration court. We have veterans court. We have Northeastern Center that we give $400,000 a year to. Veterans that we help out. We're just growing departments here, bigger, more. And I don't know if you probably didn't hear what I was talking about earlier, but our health insurance costs are probably going to go up 20 to 50% next year, and we don't have money to pay it. So what do I tell my employees here? Hey, I'm sorry, I got to cut your health insurance 50% so the guy in the jail can get this possible, might help him when he or she has all these things already available. And I get what you guys are doing. You guys are in a tough position. I'm not disparaging anything you say here, but how much is too much when a person decides that, hey, I would rather do meth than live? They got to eventually make that decision. And the former sheriff told me once, he goes, Todd, some people just need to be in jail. They just will never, they don't care. It's easier for them to be in jail than it is to be in the street. I'm not saying I'm giving up on people, but the saying, you lead a horse to water, can't make it drink. Community Corrections has done a great job helping people here and there. Drug courts help people. When do we stop making positions, though, to ask people to behave? And that's what I'm wondering. I just, you say $80,000, but yeah, it's 80, but the health insurance cost for a family now in this county is going to run about 30,000. You add perf, everything else, it turns into 100, then 120,000, then they need someone to help them before you know it. We have two, like you said.
I think it kind of depends on your philosophy. If you want, some people do have the philosophy that it is the jail, and the jail should house and warehouse people until the court says let them go. And I think that's historically what we have done. So I think it kind of comes down to your philosophy. Or do we as a community want to say, how do we help this person change the trajectory of what they're doing? What they've been doing hasn't been working for this person. So To me, that's a
Well-
fundamental belief, and whether or not you change that philosophy. Some people believe
Please
that.
don't
and
say
that's-
that's my philosophy. I support community corrections, the drug courts. I've been to the drug courts. I've seen lives changed there. I've seen Inspiration Ministries change people's life, more like Michael said, faith-based, a little different scenario. I understand what you're saying there. But we have so many programs for people on drugs and criminals, and we have so little going to help the people that are doing things right. And I'm just wondering, when does the horse jump in the cart and ride on it too? And I agree with what you're saying, but like this ARPA money we're talking about, I could spend every penny of this on the new jail, all 10 million, and it wouldn't cover 1/4 of it. It wouldn't do 20 miles of paving roads. And we have a real crisis on drainage, roads, health insurance. I'm telling you guys, this health insurance, the EMS contract is probably gonna be double of what it was last year. And really to do it is gonna be, if we did it ourselves, it'd be millions.
Oh, yeah.
We have so many big expenses coming. I don't think people realize how dangerous this economy is gonna get here shortly. And I just hate to expand things right now. I'm not saying your program's bad. I'm just telling you, I think if we expand, if you looked on TV, government jobs went up by 40%. The private sector almost had no growth. When does it end?
I think it depends on if you believe in the success rate or not. I mean, if you believe it would be successful and it's $80,000 a year, that's an investment that overall is saving money.
Right.
So I think you look at overall the big picture, what's better for the community, is it better for that person? And also, it would be saving the county money. It's a unique opportunity with the ARPA funds, because if those are available, then the county can, I think it's a good way to spend that money and then apply for those grants. So it's a way of growing, but it's also not growing. Maybe it's a limited risk because of the ARPA funds to see if this would be successful or not. And I understand the growing part, I get that, but it could save money as far as the burden on the resources that we have, reduce the jail population. That's been seen in other counties.
Yeah. No, I get, like I said, guys, you're doing a great job. I know you're coming here, you're presenting a program. I'm just looking at the average person telling me, hey, when does this end? And, it's.
This may not be the right place. This might not be the right money. I understand that.
Right.
The reason for this was to find the gap. We found it. I'm going to fill it, whether you guys are involved or not.
Right. And that's your prerogative. I get
The
that.
other issue is not taking into consideration what crime creates. The representatives of the county. It's not just for them. Okay. More addiction causes more crime. The more we can reduce that. What I was talking about is, regardless of, you take a look at the jail numbers, pay attention to them. Okay?
I am.
You had 6 months of 80s, another 6 months of 90s.
111.
Now we're looking at 111. Either meet it or pay for it. And we're just continuously looking at new ways to reduce that. You're going to continuously see the flow from south. You got to meet it. There's only a couple ways to do that. And I absolutely appreciate the thought pattern from the sheriff. It's a mindset. How do you want to meet it? You can continuously incarcerate, and you're going to build a new jail, a bigger one. You're going to build a new prison, and more of them, if that's the only way you intend to meet it. You can incarcerate somebody for a mental health problem, or you can treat them. You may not always fix it. And I completely understand you saying, if you give them the information at some point in time, they got to drink the water. The problem is they don't drink the water on their own. They've been given that opportunity. They're adults. They've been handed all that information probably countless times. Now they need somebody to help them. We have to figure out the best way to do that. We're trying every different way we can to change the message, to change the support. How many people look at a law enforcement officer in this and they think that they're there to help them? 90% of us, but there's a percentage that don't. We need to change that thought process, that when the sheriff walks in and says, hey, I don't want to see you in here anymore. How can we make sure that you don't come back? Why don't you talk to this QCC navigator and think that they can change your mind? We're trying to catch them at every different intercept and get that message out to them that change is not only possible, it's necessary. And we're not here just to find a new way to make it disappear or put you in a cage. We're here to help you and your family change your life. Become my neighbor instead of somebody that I have to work with.
What's QCC again? I'm sorry.
Quality Correctional Care. They cover, I think, 80-some counties, medical care in Indiana.
An organization then.
Yeah.
That's probably.
We use
Do our medical stuff.
Okay, all the medical, okay, that's right. Okay, all right. I got you now.
Claims every.
QC acronyms, it's like, what?
Acronyms.
Your point is well made, Sheriff, about this as an investment. that actually saves the community money in the long run. If you can affect even a small percentage of, or redirect a small percentage of inmates that come through, and you take that DUI driver off the road and save somebody's life, or prevent an overdose, or robbery or whatever. There are any number of things that are of much broader expense to the community than just an $80,000 position for QCC. And obviously, with this amount, we're going to be able to touch many people, and they're never all going to be successful. But from what I've heard, and again, what you had today, the success rate for these kind of programs is really encouraging.
And if the commissioners, want to hear more, if you're interested in this idea, the sheriff in Hancock County and his jail navigator position, I'm sure they would be happy to come up and speak about that and the success that they've had.
That wasn't Steuben, you said, was it?
Hancock County.
Hancock.
Yeah.
Where's Hancock?
Good luck.
Outside Indy.
By Indy?
Outside Indy.
So they have pretty big jail there.
Yeah, about 250 inmates.
Okay, obviously, we need to mull this over, look it over. Not ready to make any decision today on this. And we'll take a look at it, look at the ARPA funds, see where we can go.
Can you give me a number for that Hancock?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can.
I'd like to call them.
I might have it in here, but I'll be sure to get it.
Yeah, just text it to me if not.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay. So no Vicki Riley. Do you have a
Ladies.
contact number for her?
Sorry.
Vicki Riley.
I don't. She did it all via email. Let me see.
What were you asking, Bill? I missed that. I was looking at something. What would you ask her? I was,
The contact number for Vicki Riley, St. Joe.
oh, okay, yeah.
A little discussion on that too. And a little bit about the St. Joe, where she's doing that sewer project. I don't know. I made a suggestion that they become, or if they can, be their own contractor. And parcel these, split this project into parcels and have it bid out in pieces. They're going to hire this company, and this company is going to provide everything. It's a small project. This company is going to make as much on it as they can. They would almost double the estimate. I think they're taking advantage of a situation, and both companies, for that matter, are so close together, it makes you wonder how they're coordinating their bid process. But can St. Joe's Sewer Project be their own general contractor and bid this thing out in pieces? In other words, they build out the excavating, which is at $1 million, which is ridiculous. They can bid out the plumbing, they can bid out the electrical, and they got the engineering for it.
That's what I was going to ask. Has the engineering already been inspected?
Yeah,
That's why the estimates came in at twice what the engineer's estimate.
yeah, it's all spec'd out.
So if it's spec'd, there's surely someone smart enough in that area to put this together, isn't there?
Yeah.
Or
we're
a
talking-
board or something?
We're talking, well, concrete. You need four subcontractors. Electric, plumbing, excavating, and concrete.
Okay.
And this thing is not rocket science. It's piping and plumbing and tanks.
But it has been engineered.
It's been
Yeah,
engineered.
Commonwealth, I think.
Okay, well, if it's been engineered, I would think,
Yeah, I think they're in the whole.
Unless I'm missing
70
something.
There's the whole 70-some thousand for the engineering.
Well, there could be a problem with like the financing of it if you don't have a general contractor that's organizing everything and making sure that everything is done correctly. The SRF funding might not want to fund a
Right.
project done by a local board that doesn't have necessarily the
Can they go
expertise
to,
to build a
can they
building.
go to private funding?
I don't know that private funding was available. I'm trying to remember. I think they were looking for, that. So typically the private funding isn't, I think the SRF funding was going to be like 3% on the cost of interest, which is why they went with them, I think.
What, do you know what the qualifications are for a contractor? The reason why I ask, this is not a simple project, but if the engineering's been done, of anyone that's built anything in any, that has a lot of experience, I mean, someone like Brett Henderson could handle something like this. I'll be the contractor, pay me 50 grand, I'll handle it all, or whatever the number is. I'm just saying, I can't imagine that a contractor locally couldn't handle this.
You would think so. I think the only caveat to that is that it's a sewer project, there's a book that thick.
Is there? Yeah, sure.
It's got all kinds of regulations. Somebody has to make sure
Those are complied with.
that all of those regulations are complied with, because you sure don't want to have, tear it up and start all over again if they find something on an inspection that's that copacetic, but I think it's worth investigating. I mean, the amount of money that the bids came in at for the amount of users on that system, way out of whack.
You know what would be interesting is to let's just take one thing that we think's ridiculous, like the excavating.
Yeah.
Call up Mike Berkey. He has an excavating company. Let him look at the plan. Say, Mike, if you had to just ballpark this, we're not holding you to it, what do you think this would cost? And if he says something like 75,000, you gotta say, okay, now wait a minute here. Just pick one that you think's crazy and have someone that's, and maybe not, maybe even, I'm just using him as a name, just because I know him, but you could use, what's his name that's been around forever, the farmer also. Not. You could just say, hey, look at this. I mean, we're not holding you to this, but if you had a guess, what do you think it's cost?
Brad Crawford could give
Crawford,
you a good estimate.
yeah.
I mean,
Or surveyor, yeah.
He's going to tell you a straight story.
I just think you present it to the three people like that, give us a ballpark what you think, and
And
then
even
if
if they
it's,
had to hire an expert
Yeah.
to see this
But
project
if you
through,
hire a
they could
construction
pay,
manager, it's still got to be cheaper.
yeah, they could pay
yeah,
a quarter
it's gotta
million.
be.
I know the sewer district is set up that I think it's the Okra grant will expire if they don't do the actual contracting. And the bond ordinance, I know, has to be done like on the 13th or 18th. They're having a meeting there to do that. And then they have to have maybe the beginning of December, the final contracts in place, or they lose the 700,000 Okra funding. I'm the attorney also for the district. So
Yeah.
The timeframes are super tight, so I don't know how they go about recontracting it and seeing if.
Could
they
we
can
get
do
an
their own general
extension on the
contractor.
Okra grant, kind of like we did for acres today as far
I
as?
think it was
did
Okra
an
that,
extension, didn't
it was
we?
either Okra or maybe it was SRF, their funding mechanism. One of the two said they wouldn't extend it.
We did
Yeah,
one extension.
that's why it had to be by the end of the year. So that's the time constraint they're sort of stuck with.
I don't know how they get it done then. I just don't understand how you make this work.
I don't either. I mean,
Even if we gave them all the money that we have left, it wouldn't be enough.
well, with the repercussions of doing that for like our insurance and everything else,
Yeah,
it affects everybody else.
I know.
with The budget and everything, so.
that's what I'm
But I
saying.
mean, I understand what the point is, but yeah, I don't know how we make that work, on that kind of a timeline.
They'd have to scrap everything and go back to square one again to do what you guys are discussing, I think.
I just don't know how we can really help in this instance in any appreciable way that's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And not at the numbers we're talking. If they needed a couple $100,000, we'd find it. You know what I'm saying? We'd say, hey, but we can't give away millions of dollars to get this project.
They seemed to indicate they would appreciate a couple 100,000, but that would help them with their, I thought they said interest rate, but still,
It's not going to get it done.
it's not gonna,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
understand that
If we do
logic.
that, I want to be last money in anyway.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
If they can't make the project go, I don't want
Yeah.
that committed.
And like I said, we got so many problems that we're gonna face next year and the year. I don't, like I said, guys, I'm telling you, this economy isn't what you think it is. And
Are they, Andrew, are they investigating anything else with IFA or
It sounded like they did.
Bank or anybody? I mean, there's a lot of finance resources out there. Not all of them are quite as low interest as others. But USDA,
that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
USDA, I know Waterloo did Rural Development and SRF together for their financing.
Yeah.
I had brought up at least the rural development that Waterloo had used or something at the last meeting, and it doesn't sound like there were other funding sources available. That's just, I went to I think it was the last meeting there that they had for the district at Spencerville.
Yeah.
And they have like it's not Baker Tilly, but it's another financial group out there, sort of like a Baker Tilly type
Yeah.
process that's helping them with that. And
okay.
it sounded like they had tried to explore their options, though I'm sure Vicki could tell you more on that if she was here. But
And if I understand right, they have 300 customers, basically?
I think so, like 290 residential customers and maybe three major business customers, Nucor, Reinhardt, and Volcraft.
Okay.
Is Nucor and Volcraft still using them, or do they have their own treatment facility?
No, all three of the companies still
They
use
still
them,
do
for
use
sure.
them?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
They even they sent a rate schedule that. They was
They're
gonna
the
have
biggest
to vote.
users on that.
Yeah, it was,
Sky high.
And then I think there was some argument whether they paid enough over the years, but but if the rate's set and they paid it, they paid what they were
billed.
paid.
Yes. It was required to
That's
pay.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Right.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
So there's another potential solution for some of this that would also be a solution for some of the other major problems we've got from septic systems in the county that are failing, is there's no economies of scales with the 300 customers.
Exactly.
User base for that much money, but if you start looking at expanding sewer districts, Butler's got facilities, Gary's got facilities, Arbor's got facilities. If you start looking at a larger sewer district, particularly in areas, and we've got a study on this where the really bad areas are, where you start to pick up some of those failed or failing septic systems, then your economies of scale start to come into play. There's a lot more opportunity for financing a larger sewer district project than just reconstructing a small
Right.
St. Joe project. Now, that's not as much of an immediate process. Takes a little while to put that
Yeah.
together, but it could be done.
Can be done, right.
Yeah.
The only problem with a rural situation like that outside of St. Joe and Spencerville, it's all rural.
Yeah.
So it's spread out. The
One house per
infrastructure
quarter mile
to bring
or
those
something.
customers in is going to be quite extensive. And for the return, I don't know, yeah, it probably would help with the financing, but
Yeah, well,
the actual
yeah.
return on investment is
Yeah.
going to be,
Yeah, you'd have to look at the hot maps and see where,
yeah.
where your pockets are and so forth. And that's just a kind of preliminary idea.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of work to it, but,
Wow.
but that's another possibility.
If there was a subdivision, let's say a 100-home subdivision,
Yeah.
within 5 miles or something,
Yeah.
that would be
It'd be huge, yeah.
very well worth
Yeah,
taking
I don't know
on,
what the map looks like, but
but there's not.
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is.
Yeah, that's a bad situation. I'd love to stay here, get it done, but I just don't know how it makes any sense without really being detrimental to some other things that we need to be paying attention to.
And Sandy made the statement there was a plan to remodel the developmental services. There's not really a plan. It's exploratory at this point to see what it might cost and then go from there. There's no plan in place.
You talking for ours, you mean? For DeKalb County Developmental Service? Yeah, right, correct. Make sure we're talking about the same.
It's exploratory at this point.
Yeah, that's true. We talked to those gentlemen that they were going to give us an
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Forget their names already. Isn't that horrible? The two gentlemen that came, do you remember their names?
No, I got the cards. Are you kidding?
Just make sure I'm not the only one here that's losing my
I
mind.
can't remember my name some morning. No. Yeah, anything else? Anyone? Are we done? And I hashed that over pretty good, but, okay, then if there's no objections, I will call this meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all.
That sounds like a winner.
What's that?
That sounds like a winner.